So in this video, I'm going to share with you the step-by-step actions to sell over $50,000 of life insurance on your own pen in a single month, all over the phone. Now in this video, I'm proud to bring on a friend, an agent with us here at Legacy Family Life. Before working with us, he worked with a large 3-letter IMO that everyone would know, never sold more than like $10,000 in premium in a month. And last month in February, you can see the live real results on free leads. This individual sold $51,939 in annualized premium off of 44 sales and had an average premium of $1,180. So me and Mason are going to share with you everything that you need to know on sales, on systems, on lead generation, on having good leads and having processes in place, and also teach you how to overcome the most common objections that prevent life insurance agents from making money in sales over the phone. So if you guys are struggling to make money, struggling to make sales, or you want to learn how to actually grow and win as a life insurance agent in 2025, this video is going to do it. Enjoy. Let's dive in. Okay, so we'll jump in. So I got the numbers here. Let me know if this is right or wrong, but $51,939 in AP last month, 44 sales in 28 days. Just want to first off say congrats, Mason. After getting those results, dude, how do you feel after being able to kind of sell over 50,000 in premium?
I mean, it was really cool to feel like, because that was my goal for the month. I did 40,000 the month before, and that was by far, in a way, the most I'd ever done a month. But
Yeah,
it felt pretty. It just felt like the process was working, and so I thought, let's just go a little higher for this next month. And it was really intentional throughout the month, writing it down on paper every morning. This is my goal. I want to hit it. But when I hit it, it was a great relief. But I didn't feel like it was something that was unattainable.
sure.
Like maybe 3 months ago, telling me I could have done that in a month, I would have been like, no, it's crazy.
No way. Yeah.
But now after I've done it, it's just like, cool. Let's
Move on.
Let's move on to March.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the things that you did. You just kind of shared a little bit that you went into, like kind of really focusing on setting your goals, being intentional with your goals. So we'll jump into that a little bit. But I think the big thing is to talk about before getting here, like the struggles that you faced too. What do you think were some struggles that you faced previously that prevented you from selling $50,000 in a month, whether it's at our current organization or in the past? What do you think were some of the struggles that you faced before, like that prevented you from getting those results in the past?
We have incredible lead flow, which is certainly a huge reason why I could sell 50,000 of a good business, not just forcing policies, but really helping people solve problems. Also, the other major reason that I would say that I was able to do that is because of all the training. Previously, I felt like looking back now compared to where I am now, I felt like I didn't know how to sell. I was just trying to, be nice to people. Maybe they'll buy a policy, help them solve the problem. Kind of understood a little what I was doing at my former agency. Going through the new agent process here, the training process, it really felt empowering that I wanted to get good at sales. It's like, all right, let's really get our hands on this and figure out how to do this. And I think that, it's a combination of things of, having all the support, having the training, having great lead flow, and, really putting in the effort and wanting to be good at something. And then I saw the results, almost immediately, within the first 3 months here to do over 100,000 in annual premiums is crazy. And that first month was the training month, so it was like the bulk of that has been in February and March.
Yeah. In like your first month here, what did you think you did? Like 25,000, 30,000 in premium?
No, the first month was 16,000.
16,000. So 16,000. And then 2 months later after that, you're at 52,000. What was any of those light bulb moments that you think were crucial for you, where people who are like struggling, because you could be like, man, I'm not getting it down for your first 2 weeks, and then you're like, I'm doing something different, or it's not going to work. You had a lot of resilience, but was there any like specific moments where like, oh well, I understand, like this was like a big light bulb moment that really changed your trajectory in the business?
It felt like every day the piece of the puzzle was coming together. even if like in the first few weeks, I wasn't selling a lot of policies, I still felt like I was getting further along in the process in the script.
Mm.
So before, I was having struggling getting through the intro, and then
Hmm.
struggling getting through our discovery, and then struggling with the pitch. But every week I felt myself improving at it, and I could tell
Yeah.
that I was getting closer, and I just trusted in the process. I believed in our system and our training, and I just had faith that as long as I
Yeah.
kept putting in the work, that I was going to get the results I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, as you're saying that, I have like this aha moment. I just want to like run through this screen. This is like so important. I think a lot of new agents are trained to like learn the script, and they have like all these different sections. In our script, we have the intro, the medical underwriting, you have the presentation, you have the pitch, the close, and the objection handling. And let me know if this is your process. Did you kind of like use your script as like, let's get the intro down? Like once I got that down, check the box, move to section 2, check the box, number 3. And like every single day you moved like linear from like A to Z, rather than I feel like a lot of people are trained like just learn it all and then they don't know what to actually process. Did you try to piece each section together, or were you kind of just scrappy and just putting it all together?
Yeah, exactly that. I actually would like wrote it down on a piece of paper, each section of the script, and literally checking that box my
That's
first few
cool.
weeks.
Yeah.
And understanding the script, the purpose of the script, like why the intro is there, why the discovery is there,
Mm,
why we ask these certain questions, from like like a 10,000 foot view rather than like in the weeds. And then
yeah.
once I understood the purpose of everything, it made it a lot easier to be in the trenches and ask the questions, know the answers I need before moving on.
Yeah, so good. Because and if it's not just, this is a big thing too. When you get to a deeper level, you can kind of discuss this. Like you're asking the question to get the answer that you're looking for, and if you don't get the answer that you're looking for, a lot of people just kind of go on to the next question because they think they just asked the right question. But if you kind of have this probably understanding of like, hey, I'm looking for this answer, I didn't get it, so I got to ask like a deeper question before I move on. Is that how you kind of feel like your script is now, that you can analyze? Oh, that doesn't make sense. Let's clarify, get the right answer, and then move on, rather than just someone who's struggling is just like asking the question, going on, and just reading the script linear. Do you feel like there is a difference from the 16,000 to the 50,000 of being like a linear reader versus a script that has depth? Do you kind of see where I'm going there?
Yes, I think that might have been the biggest difference from 40 to 50.
Hmm.
Because in the in 50, and talking with Phil and other leadership, really, if they don't give you the answer, or if they give me the answer, like but it's a yeah, it's like
Mm-hmm.
they had to start a GoFundMe, yeah, not moving, like that's not good enough for me anymore. Like,
Sure.
okay, they would have to start a GoFundMe. Like, do y'all have enough people in your circle, in your orbit, to actually raise 15,000?
Mm.
And diving deeper, until I feel satisfied with the answer.
Yeah, getting that clear answer. You're in control. Absolutely. I want to dive onto something that was really interesting. I was analyzing your numbers. I think it was in your third week. You sold $20,000 of premium in a week, over $20,000 of premium in a week. Um, what led to great results in that week?
That was the last week of March. And I knew I think I was at 30,000 AP for the month at that point, and I was really, really wanted to hit my goal.
Sure.
And so I just came into that week so focused. I was waking up at 6:30 a.m. every morning, stretching, like really being completely locked in for when 9:30 rolled around. So I wasn't
Hmm.
having to wake up when I was like I was ready to go. I had so much intention that week, and everything just fell into place. Like literally the last deal of the month got me over the 50,000.
Yeah.
And I called my girlfriend. I was like, I hit my goal. Like it was the last deal of the month. Like I was really surprised, and it was like I want to say surprised. I was just like, wow, it really all came together. Like I just put in the work, I let go, I trusted the process, and
Yeah.
it all just unfolded the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially as an agent too, that you had a clear goal. Can you share with us a little bit about how you were intentional with setting that goal, and it sounds like you woke up early, you focused on it, but anything else that you had? Let's say I was an agent, I was like, man, I'm never hitting my goals, and it's just 10,000 or 20,000. What advice would you give me that would be like, hey, dude, focus, do this. We still have 3 weeks left in this month. If you do this for the next 3 weeks, you're gonna hit your goals. What would you recommend?
considering like there's no like major things that need to be fixed in their process, I
Sure.
would say, um, I wouldn't get up for lunch until I made a sale or until like my stomach started to eat itself. So that's a little crazy, but that's me. And then my goal is always two good sales a day,
Hmm.
whatever that takes. So I like to go to the gym at night, but if I have to skip the gym to hit that two sales, like I will do that. So I would say just not being afraid to put in the extra work. But if you're getting efficient at your process and you're on the phones all day and you have intention throughout the day, maybe that's the biggest thing, is just being intentional throughout the day, attacking the dialer, not just casually making calls and like scrolling your phone, but like
Yeah.
really being ready for that person to answer. Because you never know what's going to come. Um, yeah, I
I
think
think
being
people can.
intentional.
Yeah, intentional. I think that's a huge word because you're locked in. You're just hunting. You're like eyes are only on kit. Like if you're an animal, you're like I gotta get this thing, and that's all you're focused on. So when it comes to distractions, I think a big distraction I see a lot of agents make is like they'll have their phone. Do you have your phone on your desk when you're dialing, or you just kind of put it aside on like airplane mode? What do you do?
Yeah, it's on this thing. It's like I can see the time, but it's on do not disturb.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
strong suggestion I think for a lot of agents. You had an 84% close rate on your presentations in that week. So meaning that you closed if you had I don't know 84%. So if you had 10 presentations, you closed 8 out of the 10. What do you think led to that momentum, or what did you focus on in those presentations that allowed you to close at such a high level?
Yeah, that was when I heard that number, I was like, wow, that's really good. Um,
It's incredible. Yeah.
I think so. Credibility, I really make sure they feel comfortable, and a lot of times I get people thanking me after credibility, like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Um, so then they can trust me. Discovery, getting their pain in a way that is caring. I'm not just trying to force something out of them, so it seems like I'm poking at their pain, but I'm like there with them. And then when we get into the pitch, I pitch to solve the problem plus inflation, and
Hmm.
then like a maximum option, or like I love you gift plus inflation plus solve the
Hmm.
problem. And I just do that with a lot of care. I take my time. The $10,000 is going to do this. The $15,000 is going to do this, as well as take care of you into the future and leave some money
Hmm.
behind.
Yeah.
Uh, and bring up that pain each number I'm pitching again. I
Yeah.
bring up
When it
the same
comes to
exact thing.
yeah, there's a few good things here I think that a lot of people can learn from. When it comes to your pitch, when you first got started, how did you structure your options? Let's talk about like price wise. Would you just sell anything? Because your premium was incredible, thousand over 1,100 some bucks on premium. So you have a strong premium, meaning that you don't actually need to sell as more policies than someone who's going to be selling. Your volume is actually going to be decreased based off of how many you need because your premium's strong, which is less work for you, higher premium, better policies. But when you first got started, were you typically maintaining $1,000 average premium, or were you not?
When I first got started here, no, it was kind of, they would tell me, I would just kind of pitch based off what they told me.
Yeah.
And sometimes that would land us in where we wanted it to be premium wise. Sometimes I'd be pitching like a $30 premium, like, and then after a few weeks, I'm like, why am I pitching like a $30? This isn't going to solve their problem,
Yeah.
unless it's adding on or something, and it's a rare case. But
Hmm.
generally speaking, um, you know, who we're speaking to, the premiums are going to need to be closer to the 60 $70
Yeah.
minimum, and then the maximum, whatever it might be. I'm not afraid to say high numbers.
Yeah.
I don't say them any differently than I'll say a $60 premium. I'm not like in this 200, it's not
Yeah.
like, I'm not like I'm scared. I'm like, this is just the price.
Yeah. So you kind of remove you just kind of shoot whether it's a $5 premium or a $500 premium. You just kind of pitch it the same, basically,
Yeah,
right? You're not
exactly.
scared. When it comes to the options, because yeah, your premium from in January was like 960, and then you shot up to $1,180. do you typically have like a floor that you're trying to like stay above that keeps you at a high ability to sell like stronger policies, better business, things like that?
Yeah, I like to keep it above 65 at
Yeah.
minimum. That's my bottom, and then that also gives me room to downsell if I need
Yeah.
to.
Sure.
The base, like, never lower than 45 or 50 is what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. If you don't have $50 to get a good policy for your family, it ain't probably not a good client.
right.
Love that too. One thing that you brought up too that I think that's you talk about credibility and you bring a lot of comfortability. I'm going to give you a self assessment here that I think is really important for a lot of agents. You got to get that trust from your client, especially if you're selling over the phone. Something that I do is I'm like, yeah, write down my name. It's Peter Cottontail, and they're always like, ha ha ha. Their guard comes down. You use a playful tone for your pitch, for your credibility. You're like, yeah, Mason Fox, Fox like the animal. And then it
Mhm.
really just kind of personifies you, and I think that really lowers people's guard. That's why I use the cottontail, like the bunny, and you use the fox, like the animal, because then people kind of come in and like, yeah, you're personified in a sense, which is really cool. I think that could help build a little bit of trust.
I never thought of it that way, but I think you're absolutely right. I stole this from you when I give them my NPN number. You look me up, see my eye color, my hair color, all that good stuff about me. I always
Yeah,
get a laugh out of that, and seems to really get them like, okay, they know who I am. We're rocking at this point. We've gone through medical. Like, at that point, for about 5-6 minutes into the call, we should be pretty comfortable with each other.
yeah, absolutely. They feel like they kind of know you. So you have this emotional intelligence where I think this separates people from 10K to 50K. The emotional intelligence, like I don't think they trust me yet, so you're probably gonna pause there a little bit and like try to build like a joke or try to build a little bit more strength because you're like, I just don't think they really trust me. Do you feel that sometimes? Or like they're not opening up?
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing there is emphasis on certain words.
Hmm.
So, like, in the biggest thing for me, Miss Betty, with the way the world is today, you know exactly who you're speaking. Like, I really emphasize those words and take my
That's good.
time there. Um, it does come across, especially if I feel like they're still a little trepidatious with me. I'll really take my time
Good
throughout the
word.
entire process until I feel like they're with me, and then I can kind of be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, and then break them down a bit. Cool. Let's talk about some people that like have that are probably, let's say they have the skill set. Like for you, you have the skill set. There's the lead component that I think are really important. What type of like leads do you think people need? Like, um, either type, quality. What type of lead should they be looking for to sell 50,000 in premium? That would set someone up for success. So let's say you went to another company and you looked at their leads and they didn't have this, or this. Probably wouldn't be able to hit your results. So what type of leads are really important for an agent to get really good results in this final expense business?
We're blessed to have such fresh leads. We're usually contacting them within 2 minutes of them
Hmm.
filling out a lead
Super
form, which,
lead.
yeah, a lot of the times people are like, wow, you guys are really on it. Like, you called just like I'm still on the page. Like, I've had that before. That last sale of the month, February, he literally was on the page when I called him. He was like, I was not expecting y'all to get to me this fast. And it took us a little while for him to for me to get through the credibility, just because he was like, y'all called me really fast. I'm like, that's what we do over here. Like, and so speed to lead.
That's so good.
And then, generally our clients, they do have, you know, health needs, and or, a list of health history.
Yeah.
And these people generally, they do see the value in life insurance.
Hmm.
A lot of the times I feel like I don't need to push too hard to sell it. Like, a lot of times I don't even necessarily feel like I'm selling it. I'm just figuring out their problem and then providing them with some solution and let them choose what they want to do. I
Yeah.
don't really need to, like, really, like, put it in their mind why they need it so much, because they filled out this lead form. They have congestive heart failure. They're 74. Like,
Hmm.
they know that there's probably 10 years left, God willing, and so there's not a lot of convincing, as long as you can really tend to them and take care of them, and they can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when you're going through the process, there's probably been people that you've sold that or an old lead though. So all 44 of your sales weren't brand new, fresh lead, right? There was probably people that were like 3-day old, 30-day old B leads that we have in our system. How do you approach those differently than someone's a brand new lead?
A lead's a lead for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to speak with somebody who just filled it out 2 minutes ago. It's top of mind, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't treat them differently. I don't talk to them differently. The process isn't any different. If they filled out the card 30 days ago, and 30 days ago they had the same need as the person who filled it
Yeah.
out 2 minutes ago. So maybe it'll take me a little bit more time to get them back up to speed. For them to be in that same state when they first filled out the card, to kind of understand what the problem was, why did they fill it out in the first place. But once we get there, it's I don't really find myself having, like yesterday I had 2 B leads that were declined, but they were both bought in.
Yeah.
They wanted day one, and unfortunately we only had one option, but there was no issues. It wasn't like I had to spend 20 minutes reminding them that they filled it out. We got right into it. They remembered, and they trusted me enough to actually make a decision.
Yeah.
Make a buying decision. They weren't sales, but they both made buying decisions. And we were in applications, but so I don't treat them differently, because I do feel like they're still the same quality, even if they are a B lead.
Yeah.
Maybe the timing wasn't great. There's so many different factors that can go into why they haven't made a decision. But a lead's a lead for me.
Yeah, and I think what you kind of had the mindset is like, hey, if your ankle's broken and you didn't get the surgery to fix it yet, and your ankle's still going to be broken, so the problem still exists, right? And they probably, as long as they're willing to still want to solve the problem, then you can kind of just treat them and help them just as you would. When it comes to, so we talked about leads, we talked about system, we talked about the sales ability. Let's talk about in depth. Previous company you worked with, prices were tough. Product was only one product. How important is it to have a competitive product in this business that's fluid with someone's health? And what type of impact do you think it would make if you were just selling one product at a really, really expensive rate with like a waiting period? Walk me through a little bit of what you learned kind of with the product side of things on how it's contributed to your success.
It allows me to have faith and belief in what we're selling. So
Okay.
I'm not captive to one product. We can get somebody with diabetes, congestive heart failure, and neuropathy. We can still get them day one coverage.
Yep.
Like that is a blessing, and that I feel great at night, like, or after that sale, like genuinely knowing that I helped somebody.
Mhm.
I sometimes the responses I get, I'm shocked when we get them approved and we're in the wrap up. It's like sometimes people get emotional and they're like, I've been looking for years and like nobody's been able to help me, and like you've been able to help me. Like thank you so much. And
Mhm.
it's just, that's a genuinely awesome feeling. And I think if now having seen like kind of the light that it doesn't have to be stuck with one product, that
Okay.
you can having many options to choose from to fit somebody's situation. There's something out there for everybody, and in most cases we can get you day one coverage. Yeah, I think that has been a blessing, not just as a salesperson, but as just a person, like knowing
Mm.
I can help people. And then as a salesperson, you just have so many more weapons in your belt, or tools in your belt, rather. I think that's a better word, to help solve a problem.
Yeah. And then I think also with solving the problem with like more value, because the products that are on there in the industry that you've even sold before, they solve the problem technically, but it takes 2 years to solve the problem, or it takes them paying 30% more. So I think that's really important for people in the industry, is like, look at, like, no matter where you are, look at the product that you're selling. Is that actually really, would you sell it to your mom? And that's the question that I'd always ask myself. With the final expense, having that good product creates overall wins for the company, for the agent, and for the client, which is huge. I appreciate you elaborate on that. Apart from apart from like sales, apart from leads and systems, what would you say would be like the number one skill that you would need if you're an agent to sell $50,000 in a month? What is that one skill that would allow you to sell $50,000 in a month if you had to break it down?
I would say that one skill that I developed here that has been the kind of the backbone to everything has been tonality.
That's good. What
In
do you
the
mean by
past,
that?
it's I would agree that I have a pretty high degree of emotional intelligence. So
Okay.
I can meet people where they are at, like within seconds of getting them on the phone. I can tell if there's you can hear in their voice if they're sick, but like if somebody's way up here, I'll meet them up there and then try to bring them back down. Or if somebody's way down here, I'll meet them down here, try to bring them to the middle. I'm trying to kind of always live in this area. And then with tonality, it allows you to bring a lot more out of a person without having to say extra words. So just asking a question a certain way, or if I ask them, what would they have to do and to pay for the funeral, and they just say like it would be hard. Like you can reply like it would be hard, like with a certain tonality, and this just opens them up. It can bring a lot more comfort. When I was learning it, it felt like I was learning magic. Like, because in the past I was like, I never really applied this concept or understood it. After training it for a while, it took me a while to get good at it. It was not an
Yeah.
overnight thing. It was weeks of working at it to really like. I felt goofy at first. I felt like this is not like what am I doing this for? And then when I saw it working, that was one of the click moments. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there've been a lot of like click moments. It's been like putting pieces of the puzzle together.
Mhm.
But with tonality, when I saw it working in action, I was like, oh wow, this is a superpower. If you can use your words, the correct tone,
The right way. Yeah.
it can just like pierce through,
hmm
like any armor.
Yeah. So I think that's huge. Tonality is the game breaker for people. I think it's how people interpret what you're saying is what tonality means. When it comes to your tonality, I remember like when you first got started in like your training process, like I don't know how amazing, like your tonality was pretty bad. It was pretty flat. How would you train someone to have better tonality if they don't know, if they sound like their tonality is terrible? What would you get them to do?
It's a great question. I think what I would do is and it's really what I had to do for myself was
Okay.
just like brute force, like training it, like
Mhm.
wrong again, wrong again, wrong again,
Mm.
until finally, like I really maybe that's what I would look for is overemphasizing it, like really hamming it up, like
Okay.
in your practice. Like I would say, do it in a way that just sounds ridiculous. Like we all can agree,
Uh,
like this is going to sound like you're way over the top, but
mhm.
just try it that way. And then from there, you can start to reel it back a little bit to where it actually sounds natural. Um, but it's
That's good.
certainly a process that took a while to develop.
Yeah, I remember, and I think going through the process too. I think as well as like how about like listening to your calls and like listen to other agents. I think that overemphasize because then you can wheel it back as a huge. So say the word if you're trying to be like concerned, like oh my gosh, what would she have to do? Like really emphasize it, and then that doesn't sound normal. And you kind
Yeah,
of scale it back, like oh, what would she have to do? And it still sounds. And you finally just like peter it back, and you'll eventually get like the right tonality. Is that what you're sharing?
totally.
Yeah,
That
that's good. When it comes to common objections to sell 50,000, not everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do this thing, let's buy," and you just woke up and had an incredible month. What were the most common objections that you were kind of faced with, if you had to reflect on the month?
um, if you're doing it right, you really shouldn't get too many objections.
Okay, why is
Really,
that?
because the only objection that is legitimate, in my opinion, is price. Every once in a while, like having to speak with the husband or the wife, like you know, I can understand that for some people. Like some people are old fashioned, they won't make a financial decision without consulting the
Mhm.
husband or wife. But generally, that's a smokescreen. Generally, it's just a price issue. So I always like I say this, and even if like it's they go with the starter option, like I'll be my biggest thing is making sure this is comfortable and affordable for you, every month, not just this month. Because if we put you in something and 6 months down the road, you have to, repair the washing machine and you have to let this go. That's just not doing anybody any good.
Right.
And that also brings them a lot of comfort, is like letting them know, like, I'm trying to sell you, like, I want this to be the last life insurance application you ever have to write, that we never have to do this again, that it's always going to be something comfortable and affordable for you. So I think that ensuring affordability. I'm sorry, I lost track of the question there.
Yeah, the most common objection. So you said you
Oh,
actually avoided a.
yeah. So that would be a common objection, and then I keep all of our objections like taped to the wall right here, so I can just like read it.
Yeah, that's
The
smart.
word. Shopping around. That is one that you will get. Typically, those people aren't like I kind of believe them, like, because they've been like, those people have been like, yeah, I've been looking for about a year, and I love when I can get them over the line, because I'll just straight up ask them, like, what's been holding you back? Like, you've been looking for
Yeah.
about a year. Like, is it the price? Or are you just really not sure if you need it? And if it's not the price and they know they need it, then I'm like, I won't even, I'll downsell them if I need to, but I'll be like, I'll ask them, like, will you give me permission, Miss Betty, for us, to get this taken care of so we can protect your family, so we don't
Accountability.
blink and another year, 2 years goes by and, you don't get any coverage set up, will you let me, go ahead and get this done for you? And a lot of the times they're like, that would be like a sobering like question to ask them. And they'll be like,
Yeah, it's
well,
very direct.
yeah. And so with those people, I'm not afraid to be direct, and I'm not afraid to lose a sale. Like, I don't live or die by any single sale, which I used to feel like I would. And I want to solve the problem. And if I have to be, completely direct with them, I will not shy away from that.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, the accountability. Is it okay if I hold you accountable to make this decision that you've been putting off? They
Yeah.
say yes, and then that's the ammo that you can use when they say they need to think about it. Then you go into a really confused tonality. Another question that you can even add is, why do you feel like you'd want to kind of solve this problem now? And they can be like, why? Like, you can just ask Mason, why now? And then they'll probably explain why they are tired of putting it off in the future and why they want to do it now. So why now?
Yeah.
Um, great, um, great stuff there. We'll wrap up here shortly. What do you think too, as you've been growing, learning, smashing? Biggest mistake when agents make who are selling life insurance? What do you think would be a big mistake that just is super common that you feel like, hey, just if you make this change, I promise you, you'll get better overnight? What would that be?
I think a big mistake is being lackadaisical, or not coming in like thinking there are other agents out there who will say whatever they need to say to make a sale. Like, I like to tell myself I'm the best insurance agent in the world. And
Love that.
this means I'm going to help the people and I'm going to get them in the best policy. And if I can't, then, I want to genuinely do the best I can for these people. And I know that there are agents out there that will lie, cheat, like do whatever they can, get them out of a day one policy and put them in a 2-year wait period just to make a sale. And that, I think, is a huge motivation for me, is like, I kind of make a villain. Like, I don't know who that agent is, but like, make that they're out there. And like, I want to protect my clients from that person.
I love that.
Yeah. So
Just fully intentional, just doing things the right way, and just knowing that, hey, if you do it the right way, it all comes back around. You'll serve people, you'll feel better. Like, you don't have to cut corners in this business. And I think that's huge. You got to the 50K without having to do anything where you question, like, waking up like, dude, what am I doing with my life? Which is huge. A lot of people can't say that. And
I
then in
think
regards, sorry.
testament, sorry to cut you off there, but testament to the culture we have here, because like, we say this and we're not joking, like, we're trying to change the industry.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm an agent for change. Like,
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, dude. The one last policy that can't get, because Miss Betty filled out multiple lead cards, and she happened to answer you compared to someone at like a IMO that would have a terrible product that wouldn't ask her the neuropathy questions or wouldn't ask her like the congestive heart. They would just get the first 3 questions. That's how I was trained when I first got started. Heart attack, strokes, cancers, no, and then any recent surgeries, no, and then I would go underwrite. And now my decline rate was really really high, but I never really got to ask any of those deep questions. And you know how people in the application are already going to lie to you. So if you're
Yeah.
not getting the true information medical, and you're not getting the true, like, you're going to write bad policies, but you still make the sale. And I think that's absolutely the wrong way to sell. So taking a lot of diligence in our process is huge. Last thing is just the separation. Like, what separates someone that's like a $20,000 producer from like a $50,000 producer? There's a gap there. Is it's like if you had 50,000 here, 20,000 here, and then we had like this little empty space in between. What is that gap? If someone could close that gap, what would those skill gaps be?
I think it's a lot smaller than people would think. I think it's like that gap from 20 to 40 is probably easier to close than you would think. I think
Okay.
it's just small tweaks in the process. Like, just going off our script, like, I don't really add many extra words. I don't like, if anything, I try to say less words.
Okay.
So I'm still hitting the point. So I never make it about myself. Like, if we share a birthday, like, I'm not going to say like, oh, we share a birthday. Like,
Yeah, that's so good.
I'm irrelevant to like this process. If we're from the same hometown, like, it doesn't matter. It's all about you. I try to make them feel special. If they have coverage, like, you've done a wonderful job so far, like getting some coverage in place.
Praise.
Yeah, lots of praise. Try to build a lot of respect for them to respect me, knowing that they're in good hands. Tonality. We didn't touch on this, but mirroring is so big. It's just so simple. It's just literally saying back to them exactly what they said, with the tonality involved, and that can just open them up. Like, it would be tough. Like, it would be tough. Like, that's tonality, but yeah, like, just things like that, like, really, really make a difference. And then knowing where to take your time, really to really understand why they are going to buy an invisible product that they will never be able to use. It's going to be for whoever their beneficiary is, And then
That's good. I want to pause there a second. What you said in your first statement, I wrote down, you really care about how your prospect feels in this process. So you want them to feel heard by mirroring. You want them to feel like special by praising them, lifting them up. You want them to also feel like they're like the most important person in the world. You're never talking about yourself. You're never talking about like what you do or anything that you have. And it's all about how they're feeling. So not only are they getting a product, they're solving a problem, but I think you're really conscious on how are they feeling about the whole process. And that's your emotional intelligence, I think, coming out a bit. It's like, well, I said this to kind of rub them the wrong way, so let's change the next question to kind of change that to get them back on my side, and let's make them smile a little bit. So I'm going to ask them a little laugh, and you're always intentional about how they're feeling. Would you say that's accurate?
Totally. Because like in the discovery, sometimes I can tell when I've gone too deep. You can go too deep, and they can start getting emotional. Like, I can't do this right now, and hang up. And I think that's a good example of recognize, because I've had that multiple times, and I've had to like catch them, be like, okay, like, I get it, I understand. And so, yeah, I definitely, I try to keep how they're feeling front of mind, because yeah, like I was saying, like, this is an invisible product that they'll never use.
Yeah.
So how they are feeling in that moment when they're about to buy is pretty much everything. For a man, it's different than a woman. A man is a lot more logical in the process. It usually just comes down to price. Like, they're not really so concerned with their death, generally speaking. They just want to make sure their daughter doesn't have to pay for the funeral. With Miss Betty, it can be a lot more of an emotional process, and it's a different process, but it's still the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mason, you're a rock star, dude. Thanks so much. Anything you want to add, or for any agents out there?
Yeah, I think You just believe in what you're doing. Try to be the best agent in the world. Tell yourself you're the best agent in the world. There's no harm in doing that.
Yeah.
I'll make
Keep
you better.
going. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool, dude. Thanks so much. I appreciate you being here and sharing it with the small YouTube team.
Of course. My pleasure.